113. In that fair, subtle realm, behind our own, the form is all, and physical gods are kings. The inspiring light plays in fine boundaries. A faultless beauty comes by nature's grace, where liberty is perfection's guarantee. Although the absolute image lacks, the word incarnate, the sheer spiritual ecstasy, all is a miracle of symmetric charm, a fantasy of perfect line and rule. This is describing the world of physical beauty, not the beauty of thought, not the beauty of character, not the beauty of inspiration, simply a projection of the divine in the form. So just behind our physical world as it is, there is a, might say, the world of plans, that this is how a form should be, this is how a flower should be. When it manifests on the ground, it may have some small defects, but in its essence it has to be, it's a projection of a perfect creation, a perfect plan which the Creator has made. But He is not looking for inner beauty, because these worlds don't have a psychic being. The powers that are there do not possess a psychic being. If you have a psychic being, you can develop your inner nature. You can evolve, you can grow, you can be something which is at present very beautiful, very agreeable, but it will never be totally perfect unless from within there is a consciousness that is holding you up. In that world, he says, this is absent. It is the world of form. It's part of the play at a certain stage. So the form is all, and physical gods are kings. These powers see to it that the form is maintained. They hold up the form. They do their business properly, perfectly. They are not gods of knowledge or of love or of power. Simply, they are like those who uphold the external nature of things. The world of nature is often like that. It has its own charm. The inspiring light plays in fine boundaries. So the boundary is it's perfect. In that world, the outlines are flawless. When you make a drawing, a design, like you see sometimes mothers' drawings, it's flawless. It's a projection of a particular expression of form. But it is limited to that form. But it will never change, because it doesn't have a physical embodiment in matter. It does not therefore deteriorate, it does not decay, it does not diminish. There is no death in this world. There is no growth in that world. There is only a projection of a perfect form. So it's a faultless beauty, comes by nature's grace. So she is that worker. In this material world, the nature, the Shakti, the power of expression, the power of manifestation, Prakriti is that she is the one who is always working. There, liberty is perfection's guarantee. That means it cannot be faulty. There can be no faults. Freely she is working. If you and I are given freedom, we have a complex nature, a complex character, freedom to make mistakes also, freedom to fall, freedom to rise, freedom to play. There the freedom will be absolutely an expression of perfect form. So it's guaranteed. There cannot be any kind of ugliness, physical ugliness. He's not talking of inner character or moral nature. Therefore, although the absolute image lacks, the absolute image is where behind the form some power is holding up the image. That power is not evident, it's just the form. Although the absolute image lacks, the word incarnate, word is a projection of conscious force. Word is a message that is transmitted not just in sound, but there is a conscious transmission of something more than just sound. Here all that is not there. The spirit or the consciousness is only playing in the world of form. Although the absolute image lacks, the word incarnate, the sheer spiritual ecstasy, that is the delight of existence, that is lacking. It is simply the joy of expression. That also is a joy when you do something perfectly well in your movement or in your drawing or in your whatever expression in your dance. There is a certain sense of the absolute which is there. But don't look for anything deeper. When you look for something deeper, like the spirit is working through your voice, your soul is manifesting through your body if you dance, that is not this world. There you bring in other levels of expression, because man lives on many levels. Man can transmit many planes of experience through his being. Incarnate, the word incarnate is lacking. The sheer spiritual ecstasy, the delight of the spirit, all is a miracle of symmetric charm. That it is balanced, it will never break up. Symmetry helps the balance. If there is balance, there is nothing that fails, falls, it is upheld, it is sustained. So this world is permanent. From below this world is our world. Our world has a projection of this world in the world of matter, but in our world, other principles also are at work, because we are evolving from below. There is unconsciousness, there is subconsciousness, there is aspiration, there is opposition to aspiration, there is complexity, there is passion, there is desire, there is love, there is hope. So man's life can become much more complex and therefore much more complete when it is perfect. But otherwise it is much more complex. Whereas here, all these problems are not there. Simply the beauty of line, shape, color. It's a delightful world. All is a miracle of symmetric charm, a fantasy of perfect line and rule. Fantasy, because it is as if nature is after all expressing itself through images. Fantasy is a kind of play of imagination. Images, shape, line. There is no fixed rule that the sky has to be always a particular color. Skies are not always blue. They are sometimes pink, they are sometimes grey. Flowers are not always like roses. They have all kinds of different shapes. It is as if it is a free play of the creative expression. Simply free play of line and color. It is a joy for the artist. A rich completeness is,
one line.
A fantasy of perfect line and rule. There all feel satisfied in themselves and whole. There is no dissatisfaction because there is no imperfection. In itself, wherever there is imperfection, and if you are conscious, you are not happy. Here, the question of being conscious of the inner life is not there. The forms are all perfect, they are all beautiful. Therefore, all feel satisfied in themselves and whole. In that world, not in our physical world. Our physical world, every flower is not perfect. It may have some discolored petal, you might say. Whereas that world is where it is perfect. It is just above the physical. In that world, there are no errors. In our world, there may be. In our world of nature, you might find a bird with a broken wing, but you won't find that there. The shape is perfect. A rich completeness is by limit made. Marvel in an utter littleness abounds. And it's so wonderful. The marvel that they can exist in everything is look at a dewdrop. It is so small and it is so perfect in itself. It doesn't have an aspiring consciousness. It's just a little dewdrop. But that is the wonder, that is the world of marvels. Nature creates so beautifully, all shapes, all things. An intricate rapture riots in a small space. Each rhythm is kin to its environment. It fits in its, there is a time, there is a place for everything. So each rhythm, each expression is part of the movement. There is a season for every flower. It does not find itself manifesting in something that it should not happen. There is a moment which is where you see the curve of a wave. The curve of a wave is perfect. It rises and falls. It doesn't change its pattern. So it is part of the whole environment. This is the world which is not our physical world as it is the subtle physical. Because of the subtle physical, the heaviness, the dullness of material resistance is not there. In us, there is a material resistance. If your or my body wants to do certain things, there is perhaps the possibility of the vision that this is the perfect movement, this is the perfect attempt to paint or draw or sing or dance. But there is also the need to make the physical instrument capable of transmitting that perfection. Because our physical bodies have their other side of inertia, of resistance, of complications, of ill health, all kinds of things come in the way. So though I can understand how things should be done, the body or the external form does not manifest itself as it should. There, the heaviness and dullness of matter is absent. So everything is perfect. So each rhythm is kin to its environment. Each line is perfect and inevitable. The sense of the inevitable means that which you cannot improve. It is absolute. When you perfect style, that's Aurobindo often uses the term, the inevitable word. Somebody who knows exactly how to write finds the right word for the right place at the exact moment in the exact manner. There is as if that expression it's the expression that counts. At this point, it is not the content. There is style and there is substance in all things that we do. Style is the manner. Substance is what is contained in that form. So the substance is not important, and in this world, it is simply the manner. And even that is something so admirable. You see something which is growing in its exactly the right way, and it has its own charm, its magic. So each line is perfect and inevitable. Each object faultlessly built for charm and use. Charm the word charm is associated with something magical. It catches hold of you. It crosses beyond, it is not something your reason can explain. It takes hold of you, you love it. And because all that is charming, all is enamored of its own delight. It is as if in love with itself. This world loves itself There are no flaws, there are no errors. Intact it lives, of its perfection sure. So these are the gods of the physical world. They are the principles, and they are the first ones to emerge out of the world of matter. They uphold the sense of form. Because there's a whole, you might say, hierarchy of worlds. One world above the other and then another. And this whole book too is the journey of that climbing. But this is the first stage. And there is a sense of no need to rise to a higher level of consciousness. Just manifest as perfectly as possible every form.
What exactly is the meaning of enamored?
In love with. You are in love with. You love yourself. It doesn't ask, you don't ask for anything more. But see, man asks for always something more. He's never happy with what he has, which is what gives us pain, which is also what helps us to rise. We are not satisfied with things as they are. Something in us is asking to move on. In this world, there is no need. That need is not felt. This is enough. This world is beautiful. This world is perfect. It's not asking for anything else. At a certain stage in the manifestation of art, in the world of what Aurobindo describes in the foundations also as idealized realism. You have the realistic transmission, but it is raised to an ideal state. When we have the realistic transmission of things, there is naturally, there will be faults. Because we are not yet perfect, not purified, not evolved enough. So in our expression, whether it is through language or through movement or through expression of any kind, there is always a place for improvement. It is not finished. Whereas this is not the world as it is. This is from this world, the world as we have it here, the physical world, it has come down. You get the idea of, say, the blue lotus. The blue lotus, you don't see blue lotuses. The blue lotus grows in the lake of the mind, not in the physical world. There is a world where the idea of form is perfect. In our physical world, it is not blue. There is a gap between that world of ideal manifestation and manifestation of things as they are. And this is not an error. This is, in a way, from another point of view, it's a grace. Because there is error in our life, there is a sense of dissatisfaction. Because of that dissatisfaction, the need to come out of this, to move further, to rise to another level is felt. All is enamored of its own delight. Intact it lives, of its perfection sure, in a heaven-pleased, self-glad immunity. It's happy with itself. Content to be, it has need of nothing more. That's the only thing, just to be. To be is the only delight necessary. Here was not futile effort's broken heart, whereas in our life there is heartbreak. There is effort. That effort is often futile, failure. I have tried so much to do something. I've tried and tried and tried and I have not succeeded. So it is heartbreaking that I've tried and I have not arrived at something. So this is futile effort's broken heart. This is an intermediary stage. Man has to try. Man has to fail. because the instruments with which he is trying to break out of his present state are not strong enough, not pure enough, not conscious enough. So I cannot alter my whole being. But there is a need from within to say, this is not enough what I am just now. I have to be something else. I can grow towards something else. So just one phrase, and he has really described the whole state of human dissatisfaction and pain, that broken heart of man who has to make effort. And effort gives pain, it has to have pain. But without that, it cannot, ultimately it will give us joy when we break out of that limit. Here was not futile effort's broken heart, exempt from the ordeal and the test. That broken heart is the test, is the ordeal, is the pain. In this world there is no pain. There are gods and goddesses like that, who are absolute, beautiful. Sri Aurobindo sometimes describes the apsaras like that. They are beautiful. They don't have to be anything else except embodiments of beauty. Empty of opposition and of pain. In us, there is an effort. We want to grow, we may want to change. There is also opposition. You say, I want to, but I'm too weak. I'll try, but I can't do it. So that gives us the sense of pain, the sense of being dissatisfied with ourselves. Empty of opposition and of pain. It was a world that could not fear nor grieve. There is no suffering here. Where there is no suffering, there is no fear. Fear is having to come across experiences which you do not know how to master. You do not know how to conquer. It's a sign of being tied to a lower nature. Fear comes from the impurity and incapacity of our lower nature. Something in us wants, something in us can't, because it is still tied to the world of inconscience. And that is why this twist in our being, in the evolutionary cycle, it is not a straightforward upward movement. It rises to fall. Sri Aurobindo gives the image of the vertical spiral. You rise, you fall. You fall, you get hurt. You get hurt, you're unhappy, but unless you fall very badly, for a while you may stay fallen. And then a point does come when you say, I can't stay like this for a long time, I have to start again. I have to move, I have to grow, I have to change. This is humanity. This is the earthly life. Therefore, there is the grief of being incapable of manifesting that perfection which I dream, the fear that I will perhaps not be able to do it because I have in me something not only is incapable, maybe not wanting to change. We don't always want to change. Something in us likes our lower nature. We are attached to the darkness. We identify ourselves with our weakness. And you say, this is what I am, what can I do? That is why Mother has described fear as an impurity. It is, she says, the greatest of impurities. Whereas in this world there is only purity. In itself there is no complexity. It is perfect in its own way. It had no room for fault, no power to fail. Out of some packed self-bliss, it drew at once its form discoveries of the mute idea. This is the mute idea, that's why I mentioned the lotus. It comes from a world of ideas. That idea is trying to manifest itself in form. And the miracle of its rhythmic thoughts and acts. All action, all expression, all movement of any kind in the form of expression, whether this is why it is the artistic world, the world of expression. And if you read Sri Aurobindo's books on the future poetry, he has allotted several chapters to style. Style and substance. Style means the manner which transmits the beauty. But that manner which has to suit the substance. At this stage, substance doesn't really count. It's not great, noble ideas. It is simply form. And that world of form, because it has no noble ideas or noble emotions or noble hopes or dreams, all these are not disturbing the human nature. It should disturb us. We say, I'm not going to stay the way I am. I have some ideals. I have some aspirations. There is a goal towards which I want to move. I want to move towards a greater goal. And when I try to move towards that greater goal, I feel I cannot, because there are too many hindrances, too many oppositions in my own nature. In this particular world, those dreams are not there. So in itself, it is a closed world which is completely perfect and free of all disturbance, psychological disturbance. So it is a miraculously beautiful world. Its clear technique of firm and rounded lives. Round gives you the sense of something complete. Its gracious people of inanimate shapes. They don't have a soul. The beings there don't have a soul. They don't have a psychic being. They're just forms. So these beings, sometimes you make Mother spoken of spirits, elves, fairies, beings. They belong to this world. They are very beautiful, or they are in their own way complete in themselves. There are sometimes elves which are not beautiful. Some spirits, it is their nature to be like that. They are not disturbed by being whatever they are. If I am not beautiful, I am disturbed. If I am ugly, why should I be like this? But these beings are complete in themselves. They have no inanimate self. They are inanimate selves, inanimate in them without a soul. And glory of breathing bodies like our own. Amazed. So he is entering, he is passing through this world. Ashwapati is making the journey of consciousness. It is this journey of consciousness, and he watches these beings there. And he is attracted to them. He says, they are so beautiful. They are so cute in a way, so sweet. They are not trying to become anybody else. Like man is always trying to be something that he is not. They don't try. Amazed, his senses ravished with delight. He was swept by, as if carried away by joy. To see something perfect is such a wonderful thing. He moved in a divine yet kindred world, admiring marvelous forms so near to ours. It is a copy of our world, but in a perfect way. It's not far, it's just the one above us. Sometimes, if one is very simple, like children, they can relate to these things because they don't have a doubting mind yet. Admiring marvelous forms so near to ours, yet perfect, like the playthings of a god. So these forms are like toys. Like children sometimes play with toys, the gods play with these forms, as if they are trying out all kinds of different expressions. Deathless in the aspect of mortality, because these forms are deathless. Here there is no death. Here there is no decay. There is no error, there is no fault, there is no imperfection, therefore there is no decay, and therefore there is no death. But it is a form. They were expression. In their narrow and exclusive absolutes, that narrow world where they are absolutely perfect, the finite's ranked supremacies throned abide. They are supreme in their own way. It dreams not ever of what might have been, which is exactly what man does. Man dreams of what is, but what could have been, what might have been, it leaves you wanting something else. You're not satisfied with the world as it is, which gives us soft pain, but which is the cause of progress and change and aspiration and hope. This world has no such dreams. It has no sense of error, no sense of flaw. It is perfect in its own way. It dreams not ever of what might have been. Only in boundaries can this absolute live. In a supremeness bound to its own plan, where all was finished and no bits were left. It's as if it cannot grow. It is final. It is finished, it is final, it is perfect. There is no change here. You say no widths are left. You can grow this much, you can progress that much. Why have you left out this? We try things, we try to express things beautifully, but always the thought, maybe you could have tried out like this could have been better. That leaves you a certain sense of elasticity. Our life is constantly moving in our human existence and our human consciousness. No space for shadows of the immeasurable. No width, no shadows. There is that as if no penumbra, something else. No room for the incalculable surprise. Whereas in man, there is that. Suddenly you are surprised at yourself or at the world. We are like this, and suddenly somebody does something so marvelous, and see, all this also is there in man. He can do so much else than what he is today. In this world, these experiences, these discoveries, which is a constant sense of new experience. Discovery is a sense of what Aurobindo describes as a spiritual excitement. You suddenly discover something you did not know existed. All this is not there in this world. No room for the incalculable surprise, a captive of its own beauty and ecstasy. In a magic circle wrought the enchanted might. It is a closed world. The spirit stood back, effaced behind its frame. Obviously the spirit is everywhere. This world also has to have a spirit, but as if the spirit had withdrawn. What was put in front was the form. This is all that mattered. Admired for the bright finality of its lines, a blue horizon limited the soul. The horizon is really a line that you say, beyond this I cannot see. I can see only thus far. So the sense of the limited, the sense, it is very beautiful, but it is limited. He's emphasizing that again and again. Limited the soul. You can't ask for more. There is nothing more. You don't even feel the need. Then let us try something better. Let us do something more beautiful, more wonderful. This is the spirit in man. Here the spirit is not working. It has taken a step, it has stepped back. Thought moved in luminous facilities. Therefore, it's a world which is very easy to go through. You can explain things. This is a world of shape, line, form, color, beauty. It is perfectly satisfying. The outer ideal's shallows, its swim range. The depth of experience is not there. Like you were entering the waters, the ocean. In the early stages, you have the shallows. You don't have to go deep. In our inner life also we have shallownesses. You enter into a state which is very pleasant because there is no fear. You're not going to drown. Sometimes you can drown in too much joy, too much love, too much effort, too much beauty, too much marvel. All this is not there. It is simply the world, which is very soothing, very satisfying. The outer ideals shallows its swim lanes. Life in its boundaries lingered satisfied. The life force was very slight. It's not the free play of the vital world where all kinds of energies are let loose. Here it is controlled. That life force is not freely manifested with the small happiness of the body's acts. That's all. When the body is happy, the shape is happy, the expression of the physical world is perfect. So this is wonderful. I'm so happy with this world. Assigned as force to a bound corner mind, attached to the safe paucity of her room, she did her little works and played and slept and thought not of a greater work undone. She is life. Life, she is force. But here, this life force is controlled by a small part of the divine plan. So the corner mind, just a little edge of mind. It is not the whole world of thought, conception, imagination, creation. All this is not there. Attached to the safe paucity. Paucity is poverty. The poverty of her room. Room is space. Room really means space, this much space only. There is no expansion possible. In our inner life, there is the constant possibility of expansion. You can expand, you can grow. Here the range is very small. She did her little works and she did it very well. That world she maintained it perfectly and worked and played and slept and thought not of a greater work undone. No other aspiration, no other, like there are people who do their physical work as correctly, as beautifully as possible and are satisfied with that. There is an inner life which for them which has not yet started to become alive. If we are inwardly alive in our soul, or even in our heart, in our need, we are not satisfied. Something in us says, this much only, that's all I can be. But I am capable of so much more. There is a call, there is a hope, there is a dream. Why should I stop at that?
Here, assigned as force to a bound corner mind.
Just a little bit of mind. It's not the whole mental world of free thought, free conception. Attached to the safe paucity of her room, she did her little works and played and slept and thought not of a greater work undone, which is what man can start doing. We do the work we have to do as well as we can, but at the back of our natures, there's always this awareness. I'm meant, I can do more. There is something else I can move towards. There is another hope or a dream or an aspiration of another level. Forgetful of her violent, vast desires. This is life. Life is a free play of energy, sometimes uncontrolled, desire, violent. But it is this violence that creates difficulties for us, creates confusion in us. We are pulled this way and that way. This violence is also the starting point of a much richer inner life. We have to pass through difficulties, otherwise you don't have an inner life. Forgetful of the heights to which she rose, her walk was fixed within a radiant groove. In this world, it is very beautiful, but has a groove, it has a path. The beautiful body of a soul at ease. In us, the soul is not at ease. In the sense, the soul tells us, you are meant for other things. You are not meant to just live in your body. Your body is beautiful. There is a great deal of focus now on outer things, the world of materialism, the outer perfection. But the spirit is not happy. We are meant for more. Like one who laughs in sweet and sunlit groves, childlike she swung in her gold cradle of joy. This is life. The spacious call. Spacious call is the call of vastness, this call of huge experience of change. Reached not her charmed abode. She had no wings for wide and dangerous flight. We try out all kinds of things, we surely will get into difficulties. We will find pain, we will find opposition, but without that there can be no breaking out of our present state. She faced no peril of sky or of abyss, because man aspires to rise, often he falls very low. So the range of life, the vital energy, the vital forces are so complex, so rich, and they disturb our inner life. Whereas in this world all these disturbances are not there. She knew no vistas and no mighty dreams. Vista is, that whole landscape stretching out in front of us, in us. I say I can understand this, I can do this, but there is so much more to be done. It's like a whole landscape that is opening up in front of me, possibilities of experience that I am supposed to someday achieve, realize. In this world, those troublesome thoughts don't come because they bother us, they disturb us, because they disturb us but we don't achieve them, and because we don't achieve them they continue to shake us. Every age has its own aspirations, has its own needs and calls, and to say, go on, go further, go further. You're not supposed to stop at this. At this particular level of the subtle physical kingdom of subtle matter, this is not there. No yearning for her lost infinitudes, because the spirit is after all infinite, but it has allowed itself to be trapped in a small space. A perfect picture in a perfect frame. That's all. It's a copy. We like perfect frames, perfect pictures. It's not the picture, not the frame. It is the truth that is contained in the picture. That is what we have to live. We make beautiful pictures of what we love, we worship the Divine Mother. We make a beautiful picture of the Divine Mother, we put a beautiful frame, and you say, I've put it up, it's just very, very marvelous. No, it is not. That picture is just the starting point of a journey that will take me into the picture. What is behind the picture? That presence that is there within, that comes when an inner life starts to become active. But if I say it's very beautiful, like we often do, the building is beautiful, the temple is well built, the picture is perfectly made, and leaves us satisfied with that, then there is no change, no growth, no evolution. A perfect picture in a perfect frame, this fairy artistry could not keep his will. Fairy is delicate. F-A-E-R-Y, it's not F-A-I-R-Y. This ethereal, delicate, very lovely. He was not satisfied with this. It's a wonderfully beautiful world, but this is for someone who is the embodiment of the human aspiration. Ashwapati is the embodiment of the human aspiration. He says, I can't stop at this. I have to move on. This is what we have to keep on telling ourselves. Things are nice. Sometimes your life you say, I'm satisfied. The day you say, I'm satisfied, it's over for you. You have to be dissatisfied. You have to say, this has to go on. I have to break out of this present state. I have to move to another level. Yes, it will not be easy. It may take me lives. So what? That's what I'm here for. Man is on earth for growing, for changing, for evolving. So he is the embodiment, Ashwapati is the embodiment of this aspiration. This fairy artistry could not keep his will. Only a moment's fine release it gave. Yes, it gives you a satisfaction that it has been well done. A careless hour was spent in a slight bliss. So he looks through this world and he's happy. He says, it's a very beautiful world. But after some time, our spirit tires of being surfaces. That is what happens. After a while, you say, this is not enough. To stay here, is that all? As if nature has taken so much trouble to create a human being, making it out of the original mud, original inert matter. Create a being who will stop at this? Just a form? He could not accept that. He didn't accept that. Our spirit tires of being surfaces. Transcendent is the splendor of the form. You have to go beyond the form. It turns to hidden powers and deeper states. That is what we have to do. Not be satisfied with the surface perfection, the surface beauty. Something is behind the form. So now he looked beyond for greater light. So this is preparing us for the next canto. Sri Aurobindo always does that. The last lines of one canto is a kind of introduction to the next. So he is moving to the next stage. His soul's peak climb, abandoning in its rear this brilliant courtyard of the house of days, as if the universe manifestation is a house of days. House because it's a divine creation. Creation in time. Days is time. He's going to climb up that house, or the staircase of that house. This is just the courtyard on the ground floor. And then he has to climb. He left that fine material paradise. Paradise because it is perfect. You can't find a fault here. But it's just on the ground floor. It does not rise. His destiny lay beyond in larger space. Man's destiny does not stop here. Ashwapati is the symbol of man who is going to climb. Okay?
But these forms, they have soul. The soul is there.
But it has not become, it is not active.
Soul is there, spirit is not there.
Soul is spirit.
Soul is spirit. But then it's there, but it's just satisfied.
You don't obey the soul. You can situate your consciousness wherever you prefer to situate it. You live on the surface, and the surface also has to be beautiful, has to be correct, has to be perfect. Say, "Bas, this is good." From inside, something will say, "Good, not enough." This is like you climbed, the first step is just the beginning of a climb. It's not enough. You have to keep on climbing to the next step. And then that will tell you, go still higher. You have to keep on climbing until you reach the topmost peak. So this is the whole journey. But each one is perfect and complete in itself. That's the whole thing.
And then this stage also has gods, its own gods.
Its own gods, its own spirits. Those gods are there as if they have been allotted this role. They have been told, you create this. This is your business. Each world has its own gods, which he calls the powers projected by the Supreme, who has given to these beings, these gods, this work of maintaining this world.
These are the Varuna and...
No, Varuna is somebody infinitely vast. Varuna is something which is a Vedic power of infinite vastness. He's not only the waters. He is infinity.
So here there are kind of spirits, those who play with us.
Yes, yes. You have dark forces also who are, they've been told to do this, you disturb them. So they'll do that. This is not that they are dark forces who are evil. They don't have a sense of good or bad. They are whatever they are. So there are fairies that are pleasant, there are elves that are unpleasant or disagreeable, but that is how they are.
They hide our things.
Sometimes they do.
Can't find your key, can't find
They do.
So they play with us.
But that is not this world.
This is not this one.
It's not.
This
They
is
won't.
only the pure God.
That comes in the life world, the world of life.
Apsaras is which world? Apsaras.
Apsaras is giving you the forms of perfect beauty. But the sense of morality, the sense of desire is not there.
So Apsaras are of this level. Apsaras are on this level, in this form.
One aspect, he's spoken of Apsaras 4 or 5 times in this book. In say the Indian tradition, you had the manifestation of beauty, of form, which is associated with desire. They will generate desire in others. They themselves have no desire, but they generate desire in others. You see the Apsara, you feel desire. The rishis see the Apsaras, that was the reason why they were made. He gives the explanation. There was a time when the best in the race, the sages, the rishis, the munis, they were withdrawing from the world, and they were all plunged in meditation, in the search for the inner purification and connection with the divine. So by withdrawing from the outer life. So then it is as if Vishnu, who is the preserver of the world, turned to the Supreme and said, if everybody is doing that, who will preserve life? I have to see to it the world of life goes on. They're all withdrawing from life. The best elements are moving out of life. So he created Apsaras. The word Urvashi. Urvashi comes from the term Uru. Uru is thigh.
Guru is?
Thigh. The seat of sensuousness, of sensuous desire. So he told the Apsaras, Menaka, Ramba, Urvashi, all of them, you dance in front of the rishis. Because these rishis had not perfected their whole being, they're just concentrating on their souls. When these beautiful beings were dancing, these rishis lost their poise, lost their meditation. That is how you get Shakuntala, the daughter of a sage. Because he says, otherwise life has to continue on earth. If everybody and the best elements are moving out of the world of life, then what will remain on the earth? Only the lower elements. So you see, there is this, it's a different explanation he gives. Sri Aurobindo gives this explanation. And then the play of, the Apsaras have no sense of right or wrong, good or bad. They are not moral beings. They are very beautiful. They're simply embodiments of beauty. You have others also. Kinnaris, Gandharvas. They are intermediary beings. They won't come in this world, they come in the next world. The Gandharvas come from the middle two worlds. They connect earth with sky.